Guys, this is Sid Patel. Welcome back to the Inside the Drinks business. We're really inside a distillery here. It's going to be an interesting chat here. I'm here with Ari. He's the president of Illinois Craft Distillers Association, and more importantly, the distiller himself. So thank you for having us here.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about a very different topic this time. As we know, sales and distribution are a little tough these days. A lot of distillers are trying to build direct to consumer and at distillery events, trying different business models, and I think that's a good way to sort of keep all channels going, right? So Ari, we're going to talk on that. Give us a framework on you as a distiller. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing in the industry when it comes to all different channels like distribution or events or D2C? How are you playing your next 12 months?
Absolutely. I think, it's no secret that distribution has become more and more difficult for a number of reasons. It's becoming more and more competitive. You're seeing a lot of consolidation on the wholesaler tier. We're actually focused on launching a new brand. So that is, even though it is maybe a challenging time to do so, mm-hmm. We are going to be launching our brand of American single malt whiskey, which has been our goal since day one. And I've been distilling that for about 6 years now. So I'm excited to be able to build that brand out and launch it and introduce that to the world. But we're also absolutely focused on our brick and mortar. And what that means is that our bar and restaurant and our ability to sell bottles out the door, as well as our event space where we're able to do, intimate weddings, celebrations of lives, wedding anniversaries, everything under the sun that people want to experience, want to celebrate, and maybe do so in a non-conventional venue, mm-hmm. in something that has a little bit more of a unique character. That's really something that we're able to provide and capture. And that's great because that's a variety of different revenue streams. It allows us to really tell our story because, you and I were chatting a little bit before. Once you get outside of your home and your hometown, it becomes harder and harder to tell your story and make sure that it's told in the way that you want. So, we are distributed in, I think, 6 markets right now, about to be 7. And that does well for us. But at the same time, in a market on a different coast of this country, it's kind of hard for them to really understand what is our reason for being, why do we develop the distillery? Mm-hmm. Which for us, just to go back, is because this is the oldest brewery in Illinois. It's a building from 1857, still has the original limestone filtered artesian well. And we wanted to really pay homage to the original immigrant brewers, mm-hmm. that set up shop here, and continue to use some of those traditional production methods and that same water source that's still here. So it's a lot easier to be able to take somebody on a tour, mm-hmm. and show them exactly what we're about, have somebody get married in this historic space, mm-hmm. if they wanted to, have somebody come and have, a signature cocktail or try our spirits here, mm-hmm. in this space. It's definitely easier from a marketing perspective than trying to do so out in the market, mm-hmm. in, outside of your home market particularly. But we are focused on sort of all 3 of those tiers. Mm-hmm. You mentioned direct-to-consumer business. That is something that I think most producers would like the ability to do. Our guild is currently working on a bill that would, if passed, would allow some limited direct-to-consumer shipping in Illinois and would follow the footsteps of about a dozen other states at this point, mm-hmm. but is, definitely a bit of a long shot. I think direct-to-consumer shipping is not a silver bullet for, mm-hmm. any of our producers. It still comes with the same challenges of, mm-hmm. selling manufactured goods and building a brand, but it would be it would be an additional revenue stream that would be very helpful, and it would allow us, market access into places that smaller producers just don't have. So
can people buy here directly, like in
yes,
the shop?
somebody can come and buy a bottle out of our front door.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can stick with that, for example, when it comes to our D2C conversation at this moment.
Okay.
Because
sure.
I believe online you're not doing much, right?
We are working with a third-party fulfillment partner called ExcelPay that is able to do the fulfillment there, but it's not true direct-to-consumer because we have to sell our bottle to a wholesaler who then sells it to a retailer. That retailer is then will take in orders from this third party and then ship the product to.
Do you get that kind of like someone from New Jersey buying online directly?
Yes.
Does that happen?
Yes, but there's so many different tiers that, as you might imagine, it's not the best business model, and it drives up the cost of the bottle so that you end up not being particularly competitive, even if your product on a store shelf is competitively priced.
When we talk pure business, which is less time, less effort, less money, better returns, what is it right now for you?
It's the events business because we're able to control that experience and make sure that somebody has an amazing time here. Somebody is essentially booking a room and booking an experience. You know what to expect. You can plan for that. You can staff for that. Obviously, there's a sales component. You have to go ahead and generate those leads and get people to want to book with you. But in terms of, the best sort of business that we are seeing right now and the best returns with the highest margins, that's got to be it.
Got it. Double clicking on that, how are you building your sales sort of CRM or business development? Do you have a person calling a wedding partner, planning partners, or how does that happen?
A handful of things. So yes, we have an event salesperson in-house who coordinates that. We're also using several services that people will naturally use when looking for a place to book events. So we have listings on that, and we can field inquiries via that. Additionally, a lot of people just come in here and they have a drink and they say, this space is amazing. Do you mind if I take a look around? They do. And when they realize that this place is available and we have several different rooms within the space that you could book, a lot of people decide to book that way because they say, you know what, I'm actually having my daughter's wedding, or we're having my wife's birthday coming up. We're looking for a place. This would be perfect.
Does everyone get the same rules to play, or you got grandfathered in some nice licenses? Like, I heard that maybe you can only do 100 a week visits or something. Is there any law stopping?
No, nothing like that. If I'm understanding your question correctly, it may be. There's some states that limit the amount of bottles that you can sell. Okay. And some states that limit the amount of bottles you can sell to one person. Sometimes I think.
But not like if you can do every day 20 group events or something.
No, I think any challenges there, they'd probably be more logistical.
Got it.
But I don't believe there's any legal limits.
So
obviously,
pretty much all distilleries can sort of turn that into a nice experience.
If they have occupancy for groups to come in and gather. So if they have a tasting room attached, they absolutely could. And there's places that are actually more purely manufacturing sites. Essentially like distiller pure. The manufacturing side of distilling that still do experiences.
Yes.
There's Distiller for a Day where people can pay and distill along and learn about the distillation process. There's experiences where people come in and do tours. They can taste through barrels. So a lot of distilleries are playing into that and obviously generating extra revenue. You can convert that to bottle sales or cocktail sales.
That was exactly my next question. Like, how are you converting your how are you connecting your visitors of events with your bar visitors and maybe selling them the bottles? How are you playing with the systems?
Yeah. One thing I will say is that, visitors of events, we're not necessarily pushing bottles because imagine you're getting married, your family is coming in. Yeah. The last thing you want is the event to be like, hey, you should buy this to their guests, right? So we don't push
treat
that.
event as an event experience.
Exactly.
Got it.
Obviously, bottles are available if somebody wants. If they ask us about it, well, we can tell them about it. But that's not something that we're actively pushing just because we want to be respectful over there. But on the other side of that, when people are coming in here at for a bar and restaurant experience or to visit our historic space, that is a great opportunity for them to try our different products and go home with one that they like. Tours are, I think most distillers would agree with me, is that tours are one of the most powerful tools that you have, because you have a captive audience that is going to hear your story the way that you want to tell it, and then you can also do guided tastings. So at the end of our tours, have some marketing collateral and special glasses that we're able to put on, like these placemats that we put together, and go through our different products, have them taste it. They all have tasting notes and information about the products, and that's also a way for us to field questions. And it's pretty rare that somebody comes on our tour and then tries some of our whiskeys or botanical spirits and doesn't like something. So these are also people who are uniquely interested in spirits. You're not going to just a fast casual restaurant. You're coming to a distillery for a reason. So, I think that's one of the most powerful tools that we do have. For us, our tour is actually kind of in some ways less product focused and more history and sense of place focused, because you get to see the historical building, our limestone filtered artesian well, talk a little bit about the history that's been going on in this building for 165 years, and then kind of get into the distillation process, come back to this space right here, and finally taste products.
So the tours, one drawback, maybe I'm wrong, is I think it's going to be one-time visitors, right? I'm not going to again and again every time. It won't be a repeat business. Or is it?
No, I think that's a good point and a valid question. No, I mean, it's very rare that you find somebody who's going on the same tour week after week. But it is a way to I think, build on a little bit of curiosity and get somebody kind of hooked and believing in your brand. So yes, it is more, one time, or, some people who have been on repeat tours, or they come on a tour, they're like, that is amazing. You know what? I got to bring my nephew. I know somebody who's going to love this. I'm going to bring him back. And then they'll come on that tour that way. But then they're also essentially being a brand ambassador for us, because they had such a good time. They want to go tell other people and then bring them back here. They're essentially,
in all honesty, the moment I've stepped in, I've been thinking, okay, someday if I was just free and I was just roaming around, and definitely I would come with my wife and have an experience here. So it does take you back, and you know where to fit in with your next sort of experience, right?
Yep.
I want to ask you about some practical little tips here and insights you can give, right? So let's say you are hosting a distiller's dinner.
Sure.
Okay, you created one event, maybe whatever, Mother's Day Distiller's Dinner. Now, how do you market it?
There's a couple ways that you can market that depending on how I think it's structured. Typically, it's going to be an event on social media. Perhaps you also create like an Eventbrite, basically a place where, a hub where you can buy tickets, but that service also kind of suggests events to people who have a specific interest. So that is one way to do it.
There are no legal issues in advertising this kind of events?
No.
It's not called alcohol advertising?
No. Okay. No, you can say, distiller's dinner, or, you can even showcase the menu. Say like, this course is going to be paired with, this food, this spirit. So no, we don't run into any legal issues around that. Another thing that you can do is you can pair with an outside chef. So, there's drawbacks and benefits of doing it in-house and well as doing outside. But if you have somebody who has their own sphere of influence, perhaps a celebrity chef, somebody who's up and coming, somebody whose restaurant is getting a lot of attention, that is a way to get into their audience, but also build credibility around the event and build credibility around your products as well. Because, if somebody's, just hypothetically, somebody has a Michelin star restaurant and you're doing a pairing event with My Spirits, in the mind of most people, wow, their spirits must be great for them to be paired with such high, renowned quality food, right? You can also do them off-site. You can sometimes do them at restaurants proper. I've seen that as well. You control the narrative a little bit differently if that's the case. Again, back for us, our brick and mortar and the history of this place, the sense of place of our distillery is just so important. So that would be probably less impactful for our specific brand.
But anything else you want to add on as a tip to other distillers on navigating the current state?
Yeah. Keep an open mind and look for tertiary revenue streams, whether that's having a bar and a restaurant, having a tasting room that allows you to sell bottles, doing contract manufacturing and white label production, hosting events, or making products that you didn't think you would make when you get into this business. I think being able to be nimble will allow us to kind of see to the other side of the current headwinds facing the industry. Obviously, it is there's definitely success to be had through distribution, but it is challenging and requires a lot of capital. So I think everybody should know that before getting into this business. I think a lot of people, we get into this business from a place of passion, and we kind of assume if we make great spirits, how can people not want them? How will they not sell? But it's harder. It's a lot harder than that, and there's a side of in-market sales that people don't see that is really challenging for a small producer. So those would be my recommendations. Be flexible, keep an open mind here. Look for ways to partner with other people doing interesting things.
You've entered in Bartender Spirits Awards and you won gold.
Yeah.
Just curious, why do you enter as a distiller in an award?
There are a couple reasons that you would enter. You think you make a great product, you want some validation for that, and you want it becomes easier to market a spirit that wins, a gold. Someone who tasted that completely blind said, that spirit is amazing. I want to give this a medal. I think this deserves to get a gold medal. And these are people who are spirits professionals who have trained palates. I mean, you put together the event, you know exactly who you're bringing in. They're people that I think anybody in the industry would absolutely respect. I think another reason is sometimes for feedback, and this depends a little bit on the event itself and sort of what you're looking for. But sometimes distillers, we just want feedback from people who are not ourselves, because you can get kind of blinded by what you're doing if you're making things day in and day out and tasting your own barrels, and and maybe all your friends and family say this is amazing. But if you want more specific feedback, more nuanced tasting notes, and kind of also to understand how your product actually does fare, against similar products, among the competition, that is a good reason to be entering into awards. One thing I really, really like about your awards is just entering it, not even necessarily placing a medal, but entering it is essentially a marketing opportunity, because the people that you're bringing in to judge them are very, very influential people among spirits buyers.
Glad you see that, and they see the package as well.
Exactly. So, I want them to get this in front of them and to taste it. Obviously, I'm not submitting anything that I think is going to taste bad, because that would actually be the other side of that sword, and that would do me a disservice. But if I think I have a great product, and I want this group of really renowned people who have a lot of purchasing power to taste that, that is a great way to get it in front of them.